I'm going to go ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now,
what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of BMSL. I am your host, Ghost, and today we got to talk about Barack Obama talking to us black men like we're 3 years old. And I got to tell you, everyone is over the identity politics. Everybody is over the fact that you're the first black president in the United States. Everyone's over that fact. In fact, we actually saw what you did when you were running the White House and the country for those 8 years. And in those 8 years, you did nothing for black people. And so we're kind of over you. And the consensus is that black men are not going out to vote. Black men aren't doing this. But the reality is we are going out to vote, and we are educated enough to actually see what's good for us and what's not good for us. See, the common misconception is that black men don't do this, black men don't do that, they don't vote, they don't take care of their kids, they're not great workers, blah blah blah, and that's what these politicians are using as their talking points, when in fact that's not true at all. Now, for some black men, yes, but us over here, we come from multicultural backgrounds. We come from the suburbs. We come from being integrated with a bunch of different people in our whole entire lives. So the fact that he's accusing us of not necessarily voting for who they want to get into office is mind-boggling, right? And so as we look at this video, I want you guys to keep this in mind, right? Whoever you guys are voting for, whether it be Kamala Harris or Donald J. Trump, I want you guys to understand it's on you who you vote for, and it's on you what policies that you put in place. Okay, so if Kamala Harris is her talking points is something that you want to represent you in the country, remember, she says she's not going to do anything different than what Biden is doing. Okay, keeping that in mind, let's listen to what Obama is saying to us men that he wants to have us vote for Kamala Harris.
I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences, who's had to work harder.
Okay, let's just get one thing clear. Kamala Harris is not black. She's not fucking black, okay? Now that I said it, now the cat's out of the bag. Even if she was black, she would be the main person giving us the most trouble and the most heartache. Why? Because she's light-skinned. Y'all brothers know out there, all the light-skinned shorties were stuck up growing up in high school, middle school, even elementary school. They were stuck up and they were giving us the worst time in the world. They wouldn't give us a chance at all unless you were some type of athlete. Now, if you were some type of athlete, more kudos to you. I have nothing to say. You have a whole different experience than the rest of the world. Okay? You were in the top 0.001% of America. Now, this woman is not black. She may have went to a HBCU and joined an AKA and whoop-de-whoop, whatever. That doesn't make her black, right? And so if we're using the same logic as the 1% rule or the 1 drop rule, show me somebody in our family that's black. Let's continue.
And do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities, from housing to making sure that our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents can afford medicine, and making sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high, and are committed to make.
Remind me again who was in office for the past 4 years. I just want to know who was in office for the past 4 years, who his supporters are, who was at the table every single time they were making the decisions. Biden, Harris. You cannot forget Biden, Harris, because Joe Biden said, hey, I'm going to elect a black person or a black woman for my cabinet, for my office, so that way he can get the black vote. And that's exactly what he, quote unquote, did. And he brought in what? Harris, who looks black, but she's really Indian, and her brother admittedly portrayed himself as a black person just so that way he can go to medical school and get into college. Listen, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I am not mad at him at all. But let's actually be honest about what we're doing here. Let's continue.
Make sure that we maintain the Affordable Care Act so everybody's got health care and cares about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And that's on one side. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting out? But, you know, because of Pookie might be. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses.
See, what Obama is not understanding is that the allure of him running for president is over. Like we don't quite frankly give a fuck who you're speaking out for. We don't quite frankly give a fuck who you're endorsing. Because your results show for themselves in the 12 years that you had office, 12 of the 16 years you had office, you produced nothing. The 8 years you were in office and the 4 years that Joe Biden has been in office have produced nothing but war and conflict. The only time we've had peace is when Trump was in office, from 2016 to 2020. And even then, y'all still try to find a problem with this, saying, oh, COVID-19 could have killed us all and blah, 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 blah. Listen, I'm of the mindset that he made the correct decision, because if he would have told us, he should have never told us in the first place, because it really wasn't that serious. Okay? That's number one. Number two, if he would have told us any sooner, we would have been freaking out, just like y'all did with the ILO strike. Y'all started panic buying toilet tissue and paper towels and shit like that for no fucking reason at all. And that's exactly what Trump was trying to avoid. But he's in the wrong. Okay, we're showing him every single time as a people, we cannot handle the news like this. Even if he tells us something that we need to do, we still can't handle it. So he was pressured into giving us a check. He was pressured into, quote unquote, shutting down the economy. All that stuff for no apparent reason at all. Let's continue.
I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. Mm-hmm. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And
correction. If we were to go back all the way to the slavery days, women were the ones who actually told on us and kept us enslaved. They were the main ones that kept us enslaved. Why? Because they wanted to be with the master. Now, if you know your history at all, which many of you guys do not, you know that the first earliest abolitionist was a feminist. She was a feminist. And she was, before she was, this big old person. I'm not going to name any names because y'all ninjas are sensitive and shit like that. But if you know your history, you know everything I'm saying to you is true. She was a feminist masked as a as an abolitionist. Okay, she wanted to do away with slavery, but she wanted to do it her way. She wanted to have women as a forefront. Okay, now that's fine. But at the end of the day, we cannot go against what we are hardwired to do. Okay, coming from a multicultural background, coming from the suburbs, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to have any woman leading me in any regard. My mom broke up with my dad. Okay. Then I went to go live with my mom's after 4 years. Okay. From 15 to 18. During that 3-year stint, that short time I was with her, there was no order at all. There was disorder and there was chaos. Now, what makes me think that this is going to be any different? We're already living in chaos right now. Ukraine and Russia, Iran and Israel, and other wars that are being started that we're being pulled into. Now, I quite frankly think that we are going to go to war eventually. Okay? Trump is only going to be a band-aid to stop it from happening so soon. But I think we are going to go to war eventually because history repeats itself. We are living in the roaring 20s right now. And I'll say this last thing before I let him, Mr. Whatever, finish up, okay? If you vote on identity politics, if you do not vote on policy, which candidate Harris has not given us any policy, then you deserve everything that comes to you. You deserve everything that comes to you based on this issue right now because everyone has the information needed to do the research and to make an informed decision on who you want for the presidency, right? Your vote doesn't count. It's already decided who you're voting for. Okay, regardless, there's still other facets of the election that we need to pay attention to and to adhere to in order to have a successful election campaign in a successful country. We're just not voting on the presidents, okay? Vice presidents, senators, congressmen, whoever. For your state, you need to vote because this is going to directly impact you. Let's continue. Let's finish up this last minute.
When we get in trouble and the system's not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable. This shouldn't even be a question.
That's going to be pretty much the video for you guys. You guys heard it here. Obama is talking to us like we're 3 years old, talking about you guys think that you're a man because you're putting women down, blah, 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 blah. Listen, Obama, understand this. We are free-thinking men. And the people that you're missing is not the hood ninjas. The hood ninjas is going to vote for Kamala Harris. You heard from Slim Thug. You heard from Plies. You heard from all these simpletons. Magic Johnson caping for Kamala Harris, telling black men to, you need to do this and vote for Kamala Harris because you're not smart enough to make a decision on your own. Man, if you don't get that shit out of here, bruh, we understand exactly what we're doing, bruh. We get it. So you don't have to berate us and to talk down to us like we're not educated enough. And besides the people that are you're marching for, you're marching for George Floyd, a hood ninja, a fentanyl addict. He died for an overdose on fentanyl. not because of a knee in the neck. Now let's be clear. Now, no one has ever marched for the Uncle Tom type ninja. No one has ever marched for the suburban ninja. No one has ever marched for a ninja like me, who was rejected and made fun of all my life because I was different from the rest of the people. You talking about certain demographics of people, you're missing a whole bunch of other people that came from the country, that comes from the suburbs, who's multicultural, who speaks many different languages, who was born here but grew up around the world because his parents were military, her parents were military. You're missing that whole demographics of people. But this is why I'm here. I'm speaking for the minority of people who can't speak for themselves because they're in corporate America and they can't speak up, because if they do speak up, they might lose their job and lose the money that's coming in for their families. Okay? Now, I'm not afraid to say it. And what's happening in Texas because of what's going on in the border, 20 people captured in San Antonio, another 5 people arrested for B&E and hitting a woman with a gun in a affluent neighborhood in an 8-hour standoff. That's because of Biden and Harris letting over 20 million immigrants into the country. And the places that are going to be affected the worst is Texas, because Texas is right over the southern border and you already are starting to hear reports about it. Before, you were already starting to see it, but we didn't say anything at all. But now you're starting to hear reports about it because candidate Harris is using everything that she can to prop herself up because she wants to win the election. I'm done. I'm out of here. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Always never forget to check out my drops on Thursdays and Mondays. I will be rocking with you guys. I love you. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace.